Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. Welcome back to the 5-year anniversary of my channel. It's February 28th as I record this right now of 2024, and I can't believe how far the channel has come. 5 years. 5 years since I started doing this. Of course, I wrapped up the channel basically last year, aside from some last-minute reviews I need to do, like the original 2015 movie, so on and so on. At this point, I've reviewed every book, every episode of the show from back in the day, and the new one. And I love it. I love Goosebumps. I've just been burnt out on it recently, completely burnt out on it, to the point that I had started rereading Night of the Living Dummy 3, and I have just not finished it. It's been sitting there for like 6 months. I had to move. When my wife and I were moving to this house, there was so much to do, I just kind of stopped reading entirely. And then I got sick at Christmas time when I could have finished that book. It's been that kind of year. Anyway, so what have I been doing? Well, I've been reviewing horror films and stuff on a newer channel, a channel that used to be called Strange Michael that I used to put up stuff on when I first started this channel. And I kind of refocused it to main big movies, so now I changed the name to Night of the Living Dude. I'm gonna take some of the other channels I used to call Night of the Living Dude and rename those, do something else with those. I haven't really decided entirely yet what I'm gonna do with them, but in case you want to check out more reviews and stuff from me, I talked about that in my Q&A announcement video for this particular Q&A about, what, a week ago? 8 days ago, 9 days ago, something like that. So in case you want more content that happens to be uncensored, because I do have a foul mouth in real life, I do have that other channel, Night of the Living Dude. I'll link that down in the description in case you want to check it out, guys. Aside from that, I haven't really been doing much. I changed positions at work, and I'm a lot less stressed now, and I hate being in management. Management was horrible, dude. I'll never do that again. I learned my lesson very quickly. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pick into the 20 questions that I picked out and wrote down. I decided to go with 20. Not every single one is a Goosebumps question, just so you know. I tried to do one Goosebumps, one non-Goosebumps throughout the whole list. The final few are non-Goosebumps just because I didn't really have anything else Goosebumps-wise I picked out that I thought would be either something I haven't answered before in a previous Q&A, or something I thought you guys would care about an answer to. But I thought this would be fun. I thought I picked out some good stuff, and I thought that you guys asked a lot of really good questions. I was very surprised by how many people were involved in this Q&A. You guys asked a ton of stuff. Thank you for being here. God bless you. I really appreciate you all. I couldn't do this channel without you all. I don't ask for money or anything like that. I don't believe in doing that, but I love the fact that you guys care about this channel so much. And the fact that Goosebumps is still going on and strong despite Disney wanting to kill it, it's been a good time. It's been a good time, and I really appreciate you guys and your support, even in the midst of that very dark time last year in 2023 with that show coming out. I got a lot of heat for that. Anyway, so let's get down to the 20 questions I have right here. And the first one we're going to start off with is from a friend of mine, Goosebumps for Dummies, who has a great YouTube channel. I really recommend the guy. He asked, and by the way, if you guys asked multiple questions, I tried to pick maybe 1 or 2 questions. There is one person, a friend of mine named Zoe, that I picked multiple questions from. But I thought they were good questions. I thought they might help some younger creators out there and stuff, so that'll be up soon, pretty soon. But Goosebumps for Dummies is one that I do recommend, by the way. Good channel. Would you start reviewing the Goosebumps knockoff series, such as Ghosts of Fear Street, Spine Tinglers, and Bone Chillers? You know, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, man, and I've talked a little bit with Goosebumps Completionist and BD Horror, who now has a newer channel he calls The Horror Tavern, or he rebranded whatever he did. Both of those guys, we all talked about this. I'm not really anymore into reading as much as I used to be. Like, I read here and there. I love manga. I love comics, and I've been kind of getting back into that the last few days, matter of fact. But I really haven't taken a lot of time to focus on reading. So when it comes to things like Spine Tinglers or anything else R.L. Stine has done or other people have done that are similar to Goosebumps, there's a reason you haven't seen a Things Like Goosebumps video in a long time on this channel. It's because I just don't have the motivation to read that stuff. A lot of it just doesn't appeal to me anymore. I'm really finding my sentiment and my interest more into movies, video games, a lot of other stuff. You know, I'm not really sure, but I probably won't talk about any of that stuff anytime soon. Not gonna say never, but just not anytime soon, to be honest with you. But thank you for the question, man. Really appreciate you. And guys, again, go check out his channel, Goosebumps for Dummies. Now, number 2, Cooper, my boy. What's your favorite Disney movie? So if we ignore Marvel's old stuff, like everything pre-Endgame and I guess No Way Home and Guardians 3, which was good, by the way, If we ignore those things, if we ignore the Star Wars films that I do love, like Force Awakens, Rogue One, Rise of Skywalker, nothing else, Last Jedi and Solo don't exist. If we ignore those things and we're talking about straight out animated movies, from what I have seen recently, like in the last 10, 15 years that I do remember, and for things that don't count, like Toy Story. Toy Story does not count. It was not Disney at the time when it first released. If you count Pixar now, it's Toy Story. If you don't count that, it's probably Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of the most underrated Disney films ever made. My wife hates it. Everyone I show it to hates it, and I don't understand it. It's so freaking good. It's one of those best 90s, my particular favorite era of Disney animated films in the 90s. That was one of the best they had ever put out, and I stand on it. I don't care what anybody says. I love it. I think it's great. Thank you for the question, Cooper. Go check out his channel, too. It's Goosebumps Guy, Goosebumps Boy. I can never remember his name on his channel. He's changed it a couple of times, but he'll probably be in the comments section. Should be a giant praying mantis for his picture, for his default photo, so hopefully you guys check that out. Good YouTuber. Recommend him. All right, number 3, Hunter Coleman, a guy who comments on a lot of my videos. Thank you for your support, Hunter. I always appreciate all of you guys, but I see you very often, and I thank you for it. Have you read any of Stein's joke books? No, I have not. I'm pretty 100% sure, matter of fact, that when I was in elementary school, that one of my teachers owned that book in like 1st grade or 2nd grade, and that I used to read it every once in a while. I'm thinking it was so silly and goofy. I think that's when he went by Jovial Bob Stein or something like that. Jovial Bob, I don't remember what the name was he went by. But Red Letter Media, one of my favorite movie channels on YouTube, I think it's most people's favorite now, they talked about this where Mike read it to Rich Evans, and it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny watching their reactions as 40, 50-year-old men. I recommend it if you haven't seen that video. Thank you for the question, Hunter. Number 4 is Zoe. Again, Zoe, I've asked, I think I had like 3 or 4 questions from Zoe, something like that. I know that sounds mean because a lot of you guys asked a lot of questions, but again, I think a lot of these questions were good questions, but also some questions later on that I think would be good for younger YouTubers who don't know any better yet, for people who want to get into YouTubing, whether it be Goosebumps or anything like that. The first question Zoe asked was, have you been into some analog horror, or have you at least heard of them? Okay. So, if we're talking gaming, I've seen it, I have not played any of it, because you usually have to have like a PC to do that. It's usually VHS style. However, if we're talking movies, I saw Skinamarink, and I absolutely hated it. And I think Zoe might even remember when I did a review on one of my other channels. I don't know if it was on Strange Michael or something else I was doing as a project, but I saw Skinamarink and I thought it was one of the worst movies I'd ever seen in my life, and I cannot believe a bunch of hipsters with thick glass frames on their eyeballs and man buns on top of their heads loved that stupid trash movie. I hate it. I think it sucks. Analog horror has the potential to be really good, especially stuff like The Backrooms, I think is really, really good. I love those videos. I don't know how they're made. I know there's a little bit of CGI, a little bit of filming, something like that, but that stuff is fantastic if you haven't checked that out. Check out Backrooms videos, guys. They're really creepy. Analog horror like that can be really great. If it's like Skinamarink, forget about it. Don't even spend your wasting money and trash and time and all that on it. Don't even do it. Don't even do it, man. All right, Zoe, who's your favorite actors, actresses? Well, you know, Hollywood's kind of dead when it comes to actresses now. Like, there's Scarlett Johansson, obviously, where my heart belongs. If I wasn't married to Rachel, I would kidnap Scarlett Johansson. I'm joking. I'm joking. But when it comes to favorite actors, like of all time, for me, it's Jimmy Stewart, Jake Gyllenhaal, because my 2 favorite films are It's a Wonderful Life and Donnie Darko. And plus, they're both great. When it comes to some other people, you have people like Denzel Washington that I love. You have Kurt Russell, who I think is an absolute brilliant man. I love that dude. Who else do I have sitting around here? I'm looking at other movies and stuff I have on my desk that you can't see. I don't know. Gregory Peck's really good too. I like a lot of old stars. I've been watching a lot of old movies recently, so that's probably it. But Zoe, thank you for all your friendship, dude. You've been commenting on stuff for years, and I appreciate you. I see you in the Discord when we've talked in the past before it got canceled. You know, I love talking to you guys, man. Zoe is a cool dude. All right, Steven Chavez, another person that comments on a lot of my stuff. Steven, thank you for all your support, dude. I really appreciate you. What are your thoughts on classic Goosebumps changing to Tim Jacobus artwork covers? I had heard about this. I don't know if it's official. I don't know if he's like asking me if I heard about the news or whatever, but I had heard that they were going to start switching over to have some of the classic books re-released again with the classic Jacobus covers. And personally, I think that's a great idea. You want sales, Scholastic? Put the good covers that sold those books to all of us in the 90s up on those books. That's what got people into Goosebumps. That's what made it thrive. I have all of these books behind me that say that you're crazy if you don't use those covers, in my personal opinion. They're great. I love those original Jacobus covers. Even the least of them, like something like, I don't know, like his version of like Stay Out of the Basement, even something like that that's kind of a lesser, I can't talk this morning, I'm so sorry. Even a book cover like that that's one of his lesser covers, in my opinion, that's a little too obvious for what it's doing. I think that stuff sells those books better, in my personal opinion. But Goosebumps books in general are great. I think this channel has had a lot of younger people traffic come to it, and I think a lot of the younger people don't care what the covers are, but you don't know what it was like to grow up in the 90s and see all of these beautiful, detailed covers on books. Even nowadays, you don't see that on like Stephen King covers and stuff. Everything is so generic and bland looking to save money. Probably AI created. Not cryptid. What does that even mean? Probably AI created, to be honest with you. And the old covers from Jacobus, they were an artist taking a general idea of what the scene should be on the cover of the book and making something super special out of it. I love those covers. And I think that, Stephen, if they keep making those covers, I think it's the right way to go, personally. I'm also glad they're doing it. Steven, thank you for your support once again, buddy. All right, BD Horror, or the Horror Tavern as it goes by now. Great channel, recommend him, awesome dude, good friend of mine too. BD, which adult horror author would you love to see make some kids' horror books? Okay, so this is the thing. I'm a huge Jonathan Mayberry fan. I think he's an absolute genius. If you haven't read his books like the Pine Deep trilogy, or his YA horror series, which I really don't think counts as a children's book or middle grade book, but I think you could call it that. There's a lot of stuff in there that you've already seen in R.L. Stine books, like One at the Haunted Mask, that is as bloody as that. And, you know, being YA horror, these Mayberry books called Rot and Ruin are like 400 or 500 pages a piece, but they are phenomenal. Every one of them. I recommend all of them. I have them down here at the bottom of my shelf, but you can't see them. And I would love to see him do some children's horror, like, I don't know, like middle grade style something. I don't know what he could do. The dude's redone zombies a bunch of times. He's recreated vampires and werewolves in his Pine Deep trilogy in the best possible way ever. I highly recommend that man. He's one of the best writers out there. The Joe Ledger series is okay. It's not great. It's okay. But the other recommendation I would have for people who don't know this man, his name is Brian Keene. I love Brian Keene, man. He's reinvented zombies before. He's done so many great projects. I just love Brian Keene work. It has this great, serious in tone B-movie horror. And the best thing is, his books are barely over 300 pages most of the time. They might be 250 to 290, somewhere in there on pages. And I love that. Books need to be more short and concise. In my personal opinion, we need to stop taking the Stephen King method and shoving so much into a book that doesn't need it. Editors need to do their job, and too many editors don't do their job, in my opinion. But Mayberry and Keene would be phenomenal for children's horror. I really believe that, and I really wish they would do that more often. But kids aren't reading anymore, so why would they do that? You know, if it's not Goosebumps, kids are not reading. That's just the fair truth to it all. It's the thing I had to face when I was starting to try to write children's horror too, because that was a thing a while back. I tried to publish a book, a couple of books, matter of fact, a while back for children's horror. And I couldn't get an agent, dude. I couldn't get anybody, and they all liked the book. It's just, this isn't selling anymore. It isn't. If it's not Goosebumps or Stine with his name on it, it's not selling for kids anymore, because books are dying out. Reading is dying out. It's sad, but it's true. People can ignore it. We can shake our heads, but it is true. So anyway, BD, thank you for the question, man. Really appreciate you, my dude. Go check his channel out, guys. BD Horror is what you can probably find his old videos under, or The Horror Tavern is what his current channel is called. All right, Ariana Gonzalez. I see you in the comments a lot, too. Thank you, Ariana, for all your support. How do you feel about there being a Season 2 for the new Goosebumps show? Okay, so this is the thing. I didn't make a news video about this because I didn't want to gloat. But I think it's very clear that people like myself and the majority of the Goosebumps fandom, we won this battle. I think this horrible Season 1 AI crafted show got canned because it was terrible. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe in one of my videos where I reviewed each of the 10 episodes, I'm pretty sure I called it somewhere in there that they needed to abandon the entire season 1 arc if they were going to make a season 2. And they had teased making season 2 tie into that season 1, but they've now announced it's going to be its own story per season. Think of American Horror Story or the new Are You Afraid of the Dark series that's been going on from Nickelodeon. Personally, I think that was the right choice. I hope that Disney heard people like me and you guys who hated this crap new show from 2023 and realized it was a horrible idea. Everything about it was horrible. You brought in my boys Alice in Chains and ruined their song in there. They ruined Slappy, they ruined Haunted Mask, they ruined so much in that show. They did more damage to Goosebumps as a community than I think Star Wars did with Last Jedi, and Disney created that too. It's a shame, and I hate the fact that the community got so divided over it, but I called it forever ago. I said that if they went that route that they went with season 1, that it was going to happen, and it totally did. Did you see all the anger in the comments from people, whether they were for the show or against the show? People were furious, and all I can say is, if Disney has any amount of a brain left in that stupid head of theirs, they would realize they can't do anymore what they did with season 1, but with their constant failures with Marvel and DC, whether it be the books they put out, the comics they put out, whatever, or currently the movies with the MCU, because Star Wars movies are just gone. They aren't existent anymore. With what they've been doing recently, I think it's very clear they don't get it, they don't care what you think, which is stupid. It's completely stupid as somebody who's putting out media for consumers. You're an idiot if you aren't going to put out what people want. But if they ruin season 2 again, I think I'm going to take a lot of people's advice. I don't think I can review every episode of that show. Season 1 was so horrible that if season 2 does not pick up by episode 3, let's say, I'm probably going to have to quit it. Now, if it's a 5-episode season, I'll probably review all of the episodes. But if it's a 10-episode season and it's that bad by episode 2 or 3, I'm probably going to drop it, and I probably will tell you immediately from that review that I ain't sitting through it anymore. Season 1 was shameful. It was truly, truly, shockingly awful and shameful, in my opinion. And it may have had maybe one decent episode in there, and it just sucked. Everything about it sucked. You got lengthy reviews from me in case you guys want to go check that out, but thank you for the question, Ariana. I'm hoping that season 2 will be better. I'm glad that they're dropping the story from season 1 and the cast, because the cast were not bad. They had a horrible script to work with. And it was an AI-generated script. I don't care what anybody says. And now that we have proof that Disney's been accused of doing this with AI art, with scripts on other shows that are coming from other companies like HBO and stuff, this has been so constant recently, I don't see how anybody could sit there and deny the fact that AI wrote that season 1 of Goosebumps. I don't care what anybody says. I completely firmly believe that. Anyway, moving along though. Thank you, Ariana. Appreciate you. Number 9, Paradigm Shift is this person's channel name. Favorite Stephen King book? Have you read many of them? Well, my personal favorite is probably, this is probably out of a box answer. Bag of Bones is probably my favorite. That and Duma Key, I think, are the most underrated Stephen King books of all time, and I really, really love them. I think Bag of Bones is better than Duma Key just slightly, but I love it. I love the character Mike Noonan. He's one of my favorite characters in anything, ever. I think Mike Noonan's whole loss and grief arc there is super strong, man. Very beautiful book. Very sad romance book, too, in case you guys haven't read it. But have I read many of them? I've read probably about 65 or 70% of Stephen King's work. I have most of it down here and a little bit, I think, right here behind these Spider-Man figures and Star-Lord and Venom, I guess right there. I have a lot of Stephen King books, if not the majority of them. I haven't read much of his newer stuff at all, like The Outsider, which I think Zoe is the one who recommended that to me too. I haven't read Billy Summers, even though I own it and it's down here in hardcover. But I've heard that was a decent book. I don't know if it's any good, but I heard it was good, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I like Stephen King. I just hate the bloat to his books. He puts so much crap in there that does not need to be in there. Paradigm, thank you for your support. Thank you for the question, dude. All right. Chance Animates asks, do you think the second season should be an anthology or stick with the story arc of season 1? Well, like I said a minute ago in my rant, I absolutely believe it should stay an anthology. But I wish we would just adapt every episode, maybe an hour-long adaptation, of an individual book. And I've always said that. I think we should have done that from the get-go. I think it should have been stop-motion animation and not live action, because I just think a lot of Goosebumps doesn't work on live action. That kind of mystical, cute magic could work really well with things like How I Learned to Fly if it was an animation, or stop-motion animation, which I'd prefer, because I think it would work better with a Tim Burton style, but that takes a lot longer to put together, so you probably won't see many shows doing that. But I think it would have been worth the money and time and wait for all of us, the company, the fans, everybody. I think that the anthology route, every season having its own story, is the better idea, because season 1, like I said, was a travesty. There's no reason it should exist. Personally, it's deleted from my brain. You'll never see that hit physical media because of how bad it was, and it's only a matter of time till that gets removed from Disney+, I'm telling you. Because they're already doing that. So, anyway, Chance Animates, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the question, dude. Alright, Goosebumps Scotland. Have you ever seen any Godzilla movies? So, it's weird that you ask that. Of course, the new Godzilla film is coming out, Godzilla x Kong. I'm super excited for that. I hope it's going to be good. I recently rewatched 2014, which I love. I watched the 2019 King of the Monsters, which I despise and hate. Rewatched Godzilla vs. Kong from a few years ago, 2021, I think. Adam Wingard made that, and he's making the new one. I love Adam Wingard. I rewatched all of those, and Godzilla vs. Kong is awesome. I love it, so I'm hoping the new one's going to be good too. So then I tried to go back and rewatch some of the stuff in this one box that I have down here, and I rewatched Space Godzilla, Destroya. I think there was a few more that I watched after Destroya, but I wanted to experience more of them, and I'm realizing more and more I'm not a hardcore Godzilla fan. I like the style of the old stuff, but sometimes there's so much kaiju monster fighting, and sometimes those movies are too long in my personal opinion. It just kind of gets annoying. I prefer the dubbed versions, just so you know, because I think that's more fun. But the Japanese have a very bombastic style with their kaiju stuff. I love the men in suits thing. I love all of that stuff. I think that's what brings charm to the Godzilla films. But at this current moment, Destroya is my favorite of those movies. It kicks so much tail, dude. It's a blast. 2014 is my current favorite of all time, though. I think 2014 from Gareth Edwards is an absolute blast. I've not seen Godzilla -1 yet. I've heard it's excellent. Everybody I've talked to said it's excellent. I'll probably watch that as soon as it comes to rental on Prime Video or something, but still. Yeah, I love some Godzilla. When it's good Godzilla, I love it. You know, like the original film, I really love. So anyway, Goosebumps Scotland, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for the questions and the support. All right, the Weird Goosebumps Guy, or GB Guy, as he's called. Are you actually going to rank every Goosebumps book when Mr. Stein passes on? As much as I don't want to think about it, yeah, I'm going to try to. I already have a list on my phone that has hundreds of books ranked up from worst to best. I'm not going to tell you any hints about what's in there. You've had general hints when you've seen the series rankings of, each book of like the classic series, the Series 2000 series, so on and so on. You guys know the general gist of probably what I'm thinking, but I think you'd be surprised how many of the current series would be down towards the bottom, so that'll be a thing one day, but I don't want to think about it. You know, I have the list on my phone, and I don't want Stein to pass away anytime soon. I love that man. I think he's a genius. I think his marketing, his horror work, I think his shutting his mouth and not putting his views of everything out there into the world is a good idea. He's one of the few creatives left who don't do that from my childhood, which I think is annoying. No matter where you stand, I think it's annoying. You're ruining the magic of my childhood. Stop doing it. Stein is a great man. I just love everything that he's accomplished. I love how smart he is, the great stuff he put out. Many of these books can be kind of bad, but most of them, I would say, are wonderful. Absolutely wonderful reads that I can show to my children and have a great time reading it to them one day if I ever have any. And I just love that about him. So whenever he does pass on, to me, that's when Goosebumps is officially dead. Whenever he announces, like, I'm done, I'm not writing these anymore, whatever, that's when it's gone, to me. I think the IDW comics don't count. I don't think the Disney series counts. You can say, well, he was barely involved in the original TV show. Yeah, I get that. But it still counted. It was one of the things that popularized Goosebumps even more so than the books did. So, to me, when Stein is gone, I think the Disney series is a great taste of what we're going to get from his death. You know, we're going to get bad, lukewarm, written under the R.L. Stine name types of books, and I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to read it. I'll probably buy it and collect it and probably review it as they're putting them out. But by that time, Goosebumps will probably be dead. I don't want it to be, but it probably will be because of the Disney show and what Scholastic will do when this man passes. It's a shame. But God bless Stein. I hope he lives a long life. Anyway, the Weird Goosebumps guy, thank you for the awesome question, man. Really appreciate you. I am really thirsty today. All right. Jordan Films, do you have any interest in watching the new upcoming James Gunn DC Universe movies? Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. As soon as he fired Henry Cavill and kept Ezra Miller, I knew we were doomed. I don't know how you could keep one over the other. Henry Cavill is the bomb. He's one of the best actors in Hollywood. One of the best, probably one of the best good influences in Hollywood at this current point, in my opinion. I don't like many of those guys anymore. I personally respect James Gunn for what he did with Guardians. I think even Guardians Volume 3 shows how good his work can be. Can be is the key to that, though. I've seen the Scooby-Doo films. I've seen his Troma work when he worked at Troma back in the day. I've seen Guardians Volume 2, which I think is mostly bad until like the last 15-20 minutes of the movie, to be honest with you. James Gunn is a very creative man, and I think he's a smart man. I have no excitement to see what he does with this rip-off, knockoff Henry Cavill at home Henry Cavill guy that's going to play Superman now. I don't know what I want to see out of this. I don't know what I want to see out of any of it anymore. Superman Legacy could be good. I like Superman because of Man of Steel and because of Zack Snyder and because of Henry Cavill. So I'm hoping that it will be good. I'm hoping that I'm just underappreciating James Gunn. But I prefer the Zack Snyder vision. Personally, my favorite trilogy right now in my personal life that I watch over and over again is Man of Steel, BVS Ultimate Cut, and Snyder's Justice League. I love those movies. I watch them over and over and over again. That, to me, is my Lord of the Rings, personally. As much as I love Star Wars and the original films and the prequels, that Zack Snyder Justice League trilogy, whatever you want to call it, is my Lord of the Rings nowadays. I think it's the best trilogy made in forever. That's just me. It's not completed, but, you know, for what I got, I love it. Love everything about it, basically. I prefer his version, his vision, too. But James Gunn could do a good job. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it, to be honest with you. I'm curious who will play Batman eventually. I hope we get somebody good. Maybe not an obvious pick like Carl Urban. I kind of want an unknown actor to play this, or somebody you would never think of in a million years, like some dude that's only done Hallmark movies or something. I think that would be a really good idea. By the way, you know who would have been the best Batman ever back in the day if we had actually gotten him? The dad from Brady Bunch. He would have been great. I really believe that. His voice, the way he carries himself, he kind of sounds like Kevin Conroy before Kevin Conroy. He would have been amazing in that role. Think about it. Anyway, Jordan Films, thank you for your question, man. Really appreciate you. Michaela asks, favorite Goosebumps episode from the OG show? Oh man, I've said this a billion times. I think Night of the Living Dummy 3 is probably my favorite, even though it's a two-parter. I love it deeply, just like I love Haunted Mask 1 and 2's episodes, but that Dummy 3 two-parter, I have seen so many times. I've watched it every year during the summer between June and July, sometimes multiple times. Some years I just have a moment when I have time that I want to watch it multiple times, and I just love it. It's so freaking engaging and well made. I just love everything about that episode. I think it's wonderful, man. All right, number 15 on my list, Skunk Blunts. That is a hilarious name. I've seen this dude in my comments on a bunch of channels over and over again. Dude's funny. Dude is very involved in the videos and stuff, but I never noticed the name, Skunk Blunts. All right, which version of It, the Stephen King book, or in this case movies, did you like better, the 1990 miniseries or the 2010 remakes? The 1990 miniseries, no doubt about it. Now, the It Chapter 1 movie, I absolutely despised. I think Bill Skarsgård is the only good thing coming from that film, and some of the casting of the kids is pretty good too. But that movie, that entire cast deserved better. It totally did. The 2010 remake deserved better. It Chapter 2, however, I think is a better movie. Overall, I think it's a better film. It's a longer movie. The ending still kind of sucks, but I like It Chapter 2 way more than It Chapter 1, but the 1990 miniseries has this B-movie horror sci-fi film. It's made by Tommy Lee Wallace, who made Season of the Witch, the old Halloween 3 film that everybody hates and now loves. Tommy Lee Wallace was a great director, and that film, that miniseries, over 2 nights, proved that. That movie was incredible. Tim Curry is probably not the most book-accurate Pennywise, but he is the best Pennywise, in my opinion. He scares me to death. I love that version of it. But the only thing with the It miniseries from 1990 is like the last maybe 30 minutes of that whole 4-hour, 3-hour-long movie falls apart. It really does. But that film was classic. And I still think it's a classic, personally. I can't wait to talk about it. I actually saw the documentary recently about that film called Pennywise, the Story of It. I reviewed it on my other channel, Night of the Living Dude, in case you want to see out that review for it. But that documentary was just about the 1990 movie, and it was awesome. It was very detailed for a 2-hour documentary, and it was great in case you guys love that film, in case you'd like to check it out. But Skunk Blunts, it's easily, the 1990 miniseries is my favorite. I think it's better than the book, because the book is 1,000 pages, very bloated. But the 1990 miniseries I love. I think I've watched it 1 billion times at this point. And yeah, great recommendation. And great question, by the way. I can't even talk, man. What is my deal today? Great question. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all your support, dude. All right, this name here I'm probably going to butcher. I'm so sorry, dude. Kyriakos Vilches. I don't know how to say that name. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to try again. Have you ever considered doing a Goosebumps podcast? No. Now, I don't want to sound like a douche, right? I love Goosebumps, even though I'm burnt out on it right now. But with Goosebumps as a podcast thing, there's a couple of them out there. There's quite a few, as a matter of fact. I think Brandon Simey does one. Goosebumps Aussie fan kind of works with one now called like the Goosebumps Crew, I believe. I haven't watched as much of them. I've been kind of not into as much Goosebumps stuff recently, but one that I do watch when it happens is Goose Junkies. I think they're called. Goosebumps Junkies, whatever they're called. With Completionist, BD Horror, a lot of guys that I watch. I think Goosebumps for Dummies is on that cast too. Spongy is on there sometimes. That's a really great one. From what I've watched, I really love all of those guys. A lot of them are friends of mine. Really love that. The guys on Goosebumps Crew, Goose Crew, whatever it's called, really great cast of guys. I've talked to a lot of them too in the comments on my videos, on Discord, so on and so on. They're really cool too. Recommend both of those big time. I'm not a big podcast guy, but I like both of those, as well as a couple other ones like Banana Laser and Skeleton Crew that are not Goosebumps related. If I was going to do a podcast, it probably wouldn't be Goosebumps centric. It would probably be just horror movie centric or whatever, but I have my horror channel, Night of the Living Dude, so why would I even bother doing that? But if I was going to do a podcast, that's what I would do personally. My nose is trying to run. I am so sorry, dude. Allergies are peaking up big time. Ugh, yuck. I am so sorry, guys. It's driving me nuts, this whole time. Ugh. Whew. My nose is going to get red now. I would not do a podcast in the sense of starting one, running one. I don't have the time to edit. I don't care to edit anything, so I'm not going to do all that. But I will say this. I've had a couple of them recommend like, hey, can we do a show with you coming on at some point? Absolutely. I would love to do that. The only issue for that, for me, and the reason I don't really like team up and do a lot of collabs with people, like doing a Skype call or something, if people still even use Skype, the only reason I don't do anything like that anymore, or really at all, is because of my work schedule. I just work a crazy schedule. It's kind of all over the place, so I can't really team up with other people because their schedule might be a lot more consistent than mine. And, well, I don't want these people to have to wait around all day for me. So I would probably collab at some point and do a podcast with some of these guys through Discord or something. You'll probably see me eventually in the future, God willing, to do something like that. But, I'm friends with most of these people on these different podcasts, so you'll probably see me eventually on one of those. But I will never start one myself that's Goosebumps-centric, because I don't think I could do it, to be honest with you. I don't have the patience to host something like that anymore. And a lot of the time, one thing that drives me nuts with podcasts, and this is not just the Goosebumps stuff, this is anywhere. One of the biggest flaws for podcasting is that if it's not edited, if it's a live show, which a lot of them are nowadays, people talk over each other so much. And it's one reason why I hate live streams with multiple people too. It's why I don't even touch live streams. Like, I like a lot of guys out there like Mahler, for example, and I can't stand the live streams because people are just constantly talking over each other. Stop doing that, you douchebags. Please let other people talk on your shows. I don't care if it's a podcast on live stream or whatever. Please, for the love of God, let other people talk so I don't have to hear you all over top of each other constantly. Nobody wants to listen to that. Just saying. But anyway, that's a little rant to go out there, not just to the Goosebumps guys, but to anybody doing a podcast or live stream or anything. Do not bring in like 20 people and have everybody talking over top of each other. It's too much. That's what I would say. It's too much. But yeah, anyway, thank you for the question that encouraged a giant rant from nowhere. Going back to a final question from Zoe, my boy. What mic do you use for your videos? So this camera right here has a microphone built into it, obviously, but I don't use like a separate microphone for these videos where I'm on camera. Now, if you see something like the commentaries I did for Haunted Mask 1 and 2, and I think I did one for the dummy episodes, I usually will just put a picture up on the screen and I'll use a Blue Yeti microphone. By the way, these things are sturdy. I mean, really sturdy. I've had this microphone since 2013 when I first got my first job at Walmart. I bought it on a Black Friday from a Best Buy. They may sell that now, I don't know. They don't sell half the things I used to go in there for anymore, like movies. So they may or may not still sell this at a Best Buy. They have newer models, though. They're like black. They're beautiful, dude, instead of this silver crap. But I do highly recommend, if you like to do podcasting or anything like that, if you want to do YouTube videos, that's a really good microphone, but it's kind of expensive. I think it was, I want to say when I bought it, it was on sale for 50 or 80 bucks. Somewhere in there when I bought it on that Black Friday deal years ago, but Black Friday is kind of dead, you know? I love that microphone. I recommend it highly in case you like that kind of thing, but you still have to edit. You still have to take out background noise and whatever. But this particular video style, I usually just use the microphone from the camera. I don't edit in audio from that mic to this video because I'm lazy. Just not going to do it. And plus, with that microphone, it's a USB microphone, so I have to have like a laptop sitting right here with that plugged into it. It can't be too close to the computer or it makes too much noise, picks up too much noise. The cables go bad on the USB. That can happen a lot too. There can be a lot of issues with that, so just be warned of why I'm a lazy guy and I just film stuff on a camcorder and upload it from there. Personally, I think if you like to do unedited videos like I do, this is the way to go. Personally, that's just me, just saying. Small advice to newer creators out there, because actually the pendulum is swinging backwards now, where people want unedited content for people who don't ramble as much as I do. That's really a thing that's coming around now, because people are getting burnt out trying to start up on YouTube. They're realizing how much editing and video time they have to put in to make a single video, and then they get no views because it's their first video they've ever put up on a channel. Well, the way you counteract that, and I think a lot of people are realizing this, don't put in so much effort into making your first video. If you're going to do reviews like I do for this channel or my horror channel, just have a personality. Work on developing that. Talk out loud when you're not recording and try to do better at talking like that, and then put a video out that you're proud of. Don't put up just anything to put up something, you know? All right. Thank you, Zoe, once again. Appreciate you, dude. Creep 101. I've got a couple of questions from you, my friend. What are some of your favorite or least favorite Universal monsters? Okay, so this is the thing. I love Universal monsters. I think most of you guys realize that. If I had to pick out my top 3, it's probably Frankenstein. I know he's called the monster. Shut up, who cares? Probably Frankenstein, then the Wolfman, and then Dracula. But I'm a huge fan of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm a huge fan of the Mummy. I love Mummy movies, but especially from Universal Monsters. It's mainly from part 2 onward, but 3 and onward are really where you get the Mummy in bandages all of the time throughout most of the movie, and those are great. I love them. Who am I missing here? The only one I'm not really... Oh, Invisible Man. I like Invisible Man okay. Mainly the first film. The rest of the sequels are okay sometimes. They can be kind of bad, but they're okay. Vincent Price played the Invisible Man once upon a time, just so you know. My least favorite, more than likely, is probably the Phantom of the Opera. I'm not a fan of Phantom of the Opera. The more I've tried to watch it, I haven't seen the Lon Chaney Sr. version, but I watched the Claude Rains one, and I can't stand it. I still own it to this day. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. So I would basically have A tier would be everybody, B tier would be Invisible Man, and then C tier, the bottom of the list, F tier, whatever would be Phantom of the Opera for me. But that's it. All right, the other question Creep101 had is top 3 sodas. Well, despite me not having any of those right here, I'm drinking a Kroger Diet Cola at the current moment. My top 3 sodas might surprise you. As chubby as I am, I love diet soda. I drink so much diet soda alongside a lot of water. My top 3, number 1 is easily Pepsi Zero Sugar, the black labeling and all that. I love that drink. That drink tastes incredible. My number 2 has always been Coke Zero. I love Coke Zero, dude. It's so freaking delicious. It's got like a, this probably isn't the right word, but it's got like a spice to it, like a nice zap of salt or something in there. I don't know what it is, but I love Coke Zero. It's basically Coke to me. I drank that so much as a kid when that was first announced. I think it tastes a billion times better than Diet Coke, personally. My number 3 is probably going to be Diet Pepsi, because I really like Diet Pepsi too, despite Zero Sugar being my favorite one. Both are 0 calorie, so is Coke Zero. But they're all great. I'm not going to say they're good for you. I'm not going to lie like that, but I do love diet soda. I think that stuff is delicious, man. Regular soda, you probably heard this before. For you youngsters out there who haven't heard this yet, the older I've gotten, the less I like sugary drinks. I used to love regular Pepsi when I was a teen. I used to love regular Coke when I was a teen. When I drink it now, every once in a while, if I go on vacation, I want a regular soda just to try it. It's way too sweet for me. And I love sweets, dude. I eat a lot of sweets, man, to be honest with you. If I could abandon sweets, I'd lose a lot of weight. But if I could get away from sweets in general, I have to tell you, Coke, regular Coke, and like regular Pepsi, it is so sweet that I can't handle it anymore. Same thing with Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew is like the sugariest drink I've ever drank in my life, and I can't handle it anymore. So I don't do any of that. But that's my top 3, the ones I just named off. If I had to put a number 4, it's either going to be Diet Dr. Pepper, or it's going to be that new, like, it's Diet Mountain Dew, but it's like a 0 sugar version. It's like an actual 0 calorie one. That is really good stuff, man. If you haven't had that, my workplace started selling that recently. Dude, that is a great drink if you haven't tried it and you like 0 sugar or diet sodas. But anyway, that's my little rant, ramble, whatever about sodas. Diet sodas. All right, the final question here is number 20 from a channel that I love deeply. I haven't watched and commented on a lot of his recent stuff because I've been busy, and I realized the other channels I've really been focusing on, I didn't subscribe yet, so I need to go do that. My Not a Living Dude channel is a great example of one that I need to sub to this guy. But anyway, his channel name is Midnight Chronicler. I love this dude's videos. His personality, his jokes, his voice. He sounds like Cecil from Good Bad Flicks, if you've ever watched that channel. I love this guy's videos. His content is mainly book related, but he is super, like, I want to say witty, but also snappy on how he says things, but not like in a rude, snappy way, like not a New York City way, but just like a generally funny dude. I highly recommend you guys go check out his channel. He's a great YouTuber. I really think he's going to grow up into this community and be a great reviewer. Not only for Goosebumps, just anything in general that he does. I wish he had a movie channel, dude. I would watch the crap out of that, but his book stuff, I love. He's one of those channels like my friend Monster Blood that I watch like everything they put out, even if I don't comment on them as much as I wanted to, because I listen to them at work a lot of the time and then I forget by the time I leave work. Anyway, Midnight Chronicler, great YouTuber that I really recommend. He asked a couple of questions that I think are something that I wanted to help him out with, but kind of just help somebody else out there who may be new to the Goosebumps community or any kind of YouTube stuff at all. So the first one is, do you ever put stress on yourself to drop a video if it's been a while? So with me, this is a very interesting question because number one, my stress is the opposite direction. I don't do editing and stuff like Midnight Chronicler does. But for me, with this channel specifically, I feel bad that I don't really have anything to put out for you guys. I've covered everything I can from Goosebumps. I really have. I don't really have anything I can put out for you guys. However, on the other channels I do, like Night of the Living Dude or my Mr. Wildboy 94 channel, which is a book review channel, when I try to review stuff on there, on any of those other channels, I try to do too much too quickly. So I get overwhelmed. It took me 4 days of trying to review Ghostbusters Afterlife for my Ghostbusters marathon on my Night of the Living Dude channel. I re-recorded that video about 4 or 5 times, and some days you're just not up to it. You're just absolutely not up to it, and not doing editing for videos, that really shows. I mean, really, really shows, you know? And every once in a while I have a day, maybe a couple of days a week like today, where I'm just in a good mood. I want to make a good video. I got a lot of sleep the night before. And I just have everything organized in my brain on what I want to say about something, a movie, a book, whatever. So I recorded that review for Afterlife 5 times this week and just got it right today. The one that I actually am confident in, that I do want to upload to my channel today after either before or after I review and put up this video. But my stress is always the opposite direction of trying to do too much too quickly. And therefore the videos come across stressed and panicked. They're not as good as they could be because of worrying about viewership or whatever. And eventually, in hindsight, those videos are not going to be any good, because in my hindsight of the Night of the Living Dude channel, my old reviews for Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, all of that stuff feels so rushed and panicked, and it makes me stressed watching those videos. I don't like that. And some of my channel here, the Goosebumps channel reviews, I think a lot of those book reviews feel that way nowadays too. Not because of being unedited, just trying to rush through reviews super quick like I did right when I finished that last 30, 40 books for the channel. Don't rush yourself. But if you don't put too much content into your channel, like once a week, I would say if you don't put a video out once a week, the algorithm and YouTube in general and your audience will punish you. They just will. Look at my previous video thing for this, the Q&A announcement that I put up like 9 days ago. I got maybe less than 300 views for that video, and I got a ton of questions, but just less than 300 views. But the actual videos that I usually put up, if there's something big like a ranking video, they sometimes hit 1,000 views like it's nothing. Like it's absolute nothing to do that. And I don't even have a 5,000 subscriber sub base on this channel. So what I would recommend is try to put out at least one video a week, whether it be, even if you're doing like book reviews, try to read shorter books if you can. I know that sounds like a stupid idea. People think it's amateurish and childish, but personally, just hear me out. Try that out. Or do a Things Like segment, kind of like I did with Things Like Goosebumps, where if you weren't in the Goosebumps mood or whatever you're talking about on your channel, you can just talk about something similar to that to get a break. But it's also one of the reasons why I've said I will never do another channel focused around books unless it's comics or manga or something like that. I know I just said I had another channel, Mr. Wild194, where I have reviewed books, but let me be honest with you, I'm burnt out on reading, like I said earlier. I just have no reason to sit down and focus heavily on books right now. I just don't. I'm big into games and movies, especially right now. And I really prefer movies. I'm realizing the older I get, the less time I want to spend on books, that I just really love movies and games. Those are my kind of experience, visually especially. And that's why I love comics so much too. I love books, I love novels, but they're not as good, in my opinion. They're just not. I don't have the same feelings when I walk away from that, you know, as I do with a movie or a really great video game. I don't know, that's just me. But I would recommend putting out a video once a week and make your channel what you want to do, but also you need to niche down. This is not just, you know, Midnight Chronicler I'm talking to, this is anybody. You have to niche down, and I did that with my horror channel, Night of the Living Dude, the one I keep throwing the name out constantly to advertise myself, I guess. With that channel, I decided to niche down and really focus on big, popular horror movie titles, and dude, the subs blew up. I don't know what happened there. It wasn't just the video that I made for the Q&A announcement here. I got like, I want to say 80 new subs this week. Well, over the course of 2 weeks, actually. And the fact that that hit so many new subs, I think maybe 30 of those came from this channel. The rest came from just anywhere. I don't know why, but they did. They would comment saying, hey, just found your channel, whatever. And that was talking about new releases and really classic old releases and stuff that has a kind of an audience to it already. That will really help you out, whether it be a book review channel, a movie review channel. Talk about bigger projects that people know and people are actively searching for. That will help you tremendously. I really believe in that now. I got that advice from a lot of people, like my boy Horror FFA / Goosebumps Completionist, if you know him by that. I got this advice from BD Horror, the Horror Tavern. I got it from a lot of people on Reddit. I got a lot of advice from people like that, and I think it was the best advice I've ever received, and never realized that was the key to this channel doing well, because I mostly made videos about Goosebumps, which is what the Goosebumps audience wanted. So what I'd recommend is niche down, put out a video a week at least, and do what you want to do. If you love movies more than books, then don't do a book channel, which is what my advice to myself was. I'm never going to do a book channel again, because I just cannot get into the flow of that as much. Even though I review a novel every once in a while, You have to have that target demographic. If I'm uploading a comic channel, a bunch of comic book themed stuff or volumes or mangas or whatever, if I'm doing that, then I can't put up a review for like a novel, like Clickers right here. I read Clickers recently. There's no reason to review this regular old novel on a comic book channel. There's not. But if you're doing a comic theme channel or a novel theme channel, you can review a lot of obscure, weird stuff. If you have a certain niche, like, I don't know, romance or horror, whatever your theme is for your channel, you can build an audience around that, but don't mix up a bunch of genres. I just don't think that really succeeds anymore on YouTube. At least when you're starting out, it doesn't. So anyway, after all that rambling, I hope that was some good advice, Midnight Chronicler. The other question that he had was, I need to taste a drink. I've been talking too much. I can't believe it's already been like 45 minutes. The other question was, if a video underperforms your expectations, what's your rebound, don't get down on it advice? What's the best way to start here? What I would recommend is never have an expectation for a video to do well. Meme channels are a great example of this. Meme channels will put out random things they've edited together, like the bully, the Peter Bully Spider-Man, whatever they're called from Spider-Man 3. They'll edit him into like Infinity War or Endgame. Get millions of views for that video, have like 100 subs, because no one's going to sub to a channel that does something like that, because there's no reason to, despite those being fairly good. Eventually that audience will die off. You need to understand the algorithm is for the viewer, not the creator. The creator can utilize it and optimize it as best they possibly can to make the viewers happy and to bring in new viewers, but the algorithm is not your friend as a creator. It can be, but you got to befriend it by understanding what it is and how it works. It is centered around the viewer constantly watching YouTube all of the time. That is what it's trying to do. You need to take advantage of that, is what I would say. If a video underperforms, there's a possibility in the future, depending on how big the channel gets or whatever, that it could perform very well. I've seen videos like Red Letter Media is a great example. Red Letter Media, if you know them, again, a movie review channel, they had done movie content and reviews for big movies for ages. For ages, dude. They were the people who made the Star Wars prequel reviews back in the day that everybody quotes to this day. Those reviews did excellent, and I remember as soon as I subbed to them, I started watching Half in the Bag before they became really popular. And I couldn't stand Half in the Bag at first. I didn't understand that it was supposed to be a couple of friends doing like a talk show thing. And now in hindsight, I love it. I think it's great. It's hard when I haven't seen a movie and I have to wait forever to get around to seeing that film to watch that video they put out. But I love them now. It took forever for them to hit the subs they hit now. For the longest time when I was watching them, they maybe had 200,000 subs, maybe 3. And then they blew up a couple of years ago and they hit like 1 million out of nowhere because of how popular they were, how they were doing something so different from the typical thing most people were doing. They had the budget to do it, the money, the finances to do it. Don't worry about underperformance right now. However, make sure you optimize the algorithm. If that's what your real concern is, and I'm not saying live off of YouTube because I will never be able to do it, nor would I want to be honest with you. I'm too opinionated and pissy for that, to be honest. But if you just want to grow a sub base, if you really just want to have a community built around your channel, that's fine and good. That's awesome. I love that, and I love that about this channel with me. But I would recommend trying your absolute best to put out consistent content around a certain subject. Again, horror, if you love horror, do movies or games or books or whatever you're going to do with that. If it's going to be something like anime, that's a huge thing right now, do that. But just make sure it's about that thing. Don't think that your personality, no matter how much fun and creative you are, don't think that your personality is going to carry your channel and carry your viewers from video to video to video, no matter what the subject is. A lot of people do not think you're as funny as you think you are. And I feel that way. I'm not saying that about Midnight Chronicler. I'm saying that about me. I've had that realization over time. I've seen that with other channels that I love. There's a horror channel that I love. I won't drop his name because I don't want to be rude about it. But I love his movie reviews for horror stuff. And I found out that he had reviewed years ago different MCU films, like Iron Man. He went from thousands of views on each horror movie review he would do for like a 5-minute video to when he would talk about Iron Man or something, the MCU films that he would review, that would be like maybe a 20-minute kind of retrospective about things. And he's a great guy. Just those videos were good too, in my opinion, as a big MCU classic guy. Those videos maybe had 100 views. That should be very telling, I think. Most people should realize that. So if your video is underperforming, there's one of two reasons here. Either your audience are not interested in it, or it's a little bit different than what you usually do. Maybe you're trying to change things up and there's no issue with that if it's a brand new channel you just started working with not too long ago. But you have to understand, again, the algorithm is not for you, it's for the viewer. So do what you can to optimize that, focus on that, and cover content people are actually talking about. Not even right now, but just over time. Horror movies is a great example for what I was talking about, and I said this on my Night of the Living Dude channel. People in the horror community, like Goosebumps people in this community, we are so in love with something that we are into, like horror, that we constantly look up reviews and stuff for the same things that we've already consumed a billion times over and over again. The food community doesn't do that. The fast food review community doesn't do that. Video game community barely does that. Unless it's a big franchise like Silent Hill or Dragon Ball Z games, or Halo, you know. But you need to understand that, is what I would say. I hope that helps. I hope that helps from somebody who's been doing YouTube off and on for like, let's see, I started in like 2010, I want to say is when I started doing things. So I've been around roughly 14, almost 15 years making content, and had just now realized that because of this channel and my horror channel that I was trying to build up again. So just take that advice, understand that the people who tried to tell you that in the past, they were 100% right. Everybody needs to understand that. So anyway, don't worry about your video underperforming, is what I would say. Because there's a chance in the future when you blow up, a lot of people could really like that video. You know how many people still come to things like Goosebumps videos and say things like, you're the only channel I've seen review this movie on YouTube. That has happened many a time. I think I was one of the first people to put up a video about Phantom of the Megaplex back in the day because nobody was talking about it. And I love that movie. It's a great movie. People my age that remember that film love that movie. And what else was there? I don't know. I see it a lot of the time about Goosebumps books, but I see it on the Things Like Goosebumps channel a lot for things like Mr. Sardonicus, which is a really creepy horror film from back in the day. It's a black and white movie. Huge recommendation for me. No one knows about it. But it was such a great film, and no one ever talks about it. On some of my other channels, I've had people come to my channel and say that they couldn't believe that nobody had ever talked about this other film called like The Magnetic Monster, which I think is a really good sci-fi horror film from the 50s, a B movie. Great film. No one talks about it. I'd never heard about it before until I randomly found it on Tubi, made a review about it. Got a lot of views on that from people who were older, who had seen it in the theaters when it premiered back in the day, that are like 80 years old now. Coming to me, commenting on my videos, saying they couldn't believe that a youngster had found this movie and loved it, you know? Take those ideas, use them for your channel. Just trust me. Just trust me. Any of you guys doing YouTube out there, try that out. Just trust me and try it out. See how it goes. Just take my advice and try it. That's all I'm asking. Anyway, Midnight Chronicler, I'm sorry to ramble so much, but I wanted to give you an in-depth encouragement, I guess. I saw your comment this morning, and I wanted to make sure that I covered that as deeply as I could because I want you to succeed. I want every one of you to succeed, but there's people out there that I meet that really have a spark to them. And a lot of them are in the Goosebumps community. Midnight Chronicler is one of them. And I think that so many of you guys have more talent than you will ever realize because no one tells you enough and because you go out looking for advice on things that really aren't your fault most of the time. But anyway, go ahead, take my advice, dude. Midnight Chronicler, go check him out. Midnight Chronicler. Let me get the name right. Not Midnight. Thank you all for watching, guys. That is the end of the Q&A. I hope it was a good time for you. It was for me. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support over the 5 years. I can't believe we're so close to getting, like, I think it's almost 4.5 thousand subs. That's insane to me. The channel is just wild. I can't believe you guys have been here all this time. That's crazy to me. Why would you listen to people like me? All my rambling goes nowhere most of the time, but hopefully it's valuable to some of you. Anyway, thank you all for being here once again. God bless you all. I guess I'll do a Q&A at some point if I hit 5,000 subs this year, which probably won't happen because I'm not doing a whole bunch of uploads and stuff. And we'll see if Season 2 even gets made of this Goosebumps series, but at least I'll have a review up very soon for Goblin Monday when that comes out very soon. I think it's a couple more weeks, or 1 more week, something like that. I haven't ordered my copy yet. I need to order one, so you'll probably see a review for that in the next couple of weeks from me. Goblin Monday is the new Shivers books. Not Shivers. House of Shivers. The Goosebumps series, the new one. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm not super excited about it because of the cover and the title, but it could be good. It's R.L. Stine. How bad could it be? I don't know why I said that out loud. But anyway, thank you guys. God bless you. Thank you for being here for another Q&A in 5 years of this channel. And for the people that have been around for all that time, that's crazy, and I love you. Anyway, thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for being here, and God bless you. Goodbye.